So it's going to be Chanuka. It is Chanuka. And we all know the Minig Yisrael to distribute Chanuka Gelt. Now, Minig Yisrael we know is Torah, and Torah needs to be understood. And therefore, I want to discuss this Minig of Chanuka Gelt, which is a surprising way to celebrate the Nes Chanuka. We don't find this type of celebration in any other of the Moyadim. We have Simcha B'Basar, B'Yayin, other things, but to distribute money, we don't find this anywhere. And it's even more surprising because this Nes, as we know, the Nes Chanukah was something that was to protect our spiritual madrega. I mean, the Yevonim attempted la'ashkicham Torah secha ula'aviram mechukei ritzeinecha. As the Bach says, it wasn't a gzeira on the gufim, and therefore there's no chiyuv of mishta v'simcha. So why would we celebrate this nes by giving out Chanukah Gelt? You know, the Rambam in the beginning of Hilchas Chanukah says, "B'bayis sheni k'shemolchu Yavon gozru al Yisrael ubitlu dosam v'lo hinichu oisam lasoik b'Torah b'mitzvahs upashtu yodam b'memoinam ubivnoiseyem v'nichnesu laheichel upartzu by protzos v'timu ataris." The Rambam clearly mentions pashtu yodam b'memoinam as an independent Indian. And so I would say that probably distributing Chanukah Gelt has to do with celebrating our Netzachin in the sense of overcoming the Pashtu Yodam B'Memoinam. But this in itself is very interesting that the Rambam mentions this in the context of the Gzeres Hadas. In other words, lo yinichu oisam lasik b'Torah b'mitzvahs, pashu yodem b'mamaynom b'nei seyem v'nichnesu laheichel. So b'nei seyem, we understand that that's a religious issue. The Rambam mentions in one breath b'mamaynom u'b'vnei seyem, and even as magdim the mamaynom to b'nei seyem, it's kind of very difficult to comprehend. You know that Chazal say in the Midrash that the Yevonim said, "Kisfu lachem al keren hashor, she'ein lachem chelik be'elokei Yisrael." Right on the horn of an ox, that you have no part in Elokei Yisrael. Why would they want this to be written on the keren hashor? What's the significance of the keren hashor? It's maybe like, today we have a bumper sticker, so then they use the shvarim, but there must be some meaning to the Keren Hashor. You know that in Shulchan Aruch, in Simatov Ayin Reish, it says that the Ribui Hasudois Shemar Bim Bahem Heim Sudas Arishus Sheloi Kevo Lemishta V'Simcha. So there's no Chiyuv Mishta V'Simcha, and the Sudas Arishus. But from the lashon of the Shulchan Aruch itself, we can understand that people do ribui sudas, because it says ribui hasudas she'mar bim bohem hem sudas arishus. So if it's sudas arishus, why she'mar bim bohem? Why do Yidden make these sudas? There's an interesting Haggadah in the Shiltei Giborim, in the to the Hagois Mordche in Perek Bamem Adlikin. It's on Daf Ayin Tesa Med Aleph in the Amudei HaMordechai, where it says over there as follows: Vani Yomtiv HaKoisev Kibalti Simon Echod Beparshis Vayihi Miketz Utvoyach Tevach V'Hochein Heim Oisius Chanukah. How is Utvoyach Tevach V'Hochein Oisius Chanukah? Because if you take the ches in the end of the word Tevach and you attach it to V'Hochein, so it makes Chanukah. So Utvayach tevach v'hochein heim oisius Chanukah. Usmach lesudois she'oisin b'Chanukah. This is an asmachta for the sudas that we make on Chanukah, because Tvayach tevach v'hochein is the suda that Yosef prepared for his brothers. So we're talking about a suda. And over here there's a remez for tevach v'hochein is oisius Chanukah. So, and then he adds v'oisius v'tev utvayach tevach b'gematria mem dalet k'moyaneris. That the utvayach tevach vov tes veis ches is b'gematria 44, like the neris of Chanukah, which add up to 44. So, first of all, we need to understand what's the shaykhs of this pasuk to Chanukah, that the Torah was meramis over here, the sudas, and the neris of Chanukah. This is the suda that Yosef makes for his brothers. What does that have to do with Chanukah? And why is it Bechlal? Ram was in the Torah, the sudas are reshus. The number 44 includes also the shamoshim, because without the shamoshim, we only have 36. Why would the shamoshim be incorporated into this gematria? There's a famous midrash that many Sforim bring. We don't really have this midrash in our midrashim, but the midrash says on the pasuk in Shir Hashirim, Hadudoim nosnu reach. That the dudoim, which is a type of flower, they emitted a scent, a fragrance. Va'al psochenu kol megodim, and on our doors there's delicious fruit. So the Medrash says, Hadudoim nosnu reach ze Ruvain shehitzil es Yosef. Ruvain is the one that found the Dudoim, so he's being referred to in this pasuk by the word Dudoim, and nosnu reach means that Ruvain, the one that found the Dudoim, he emitted a fragrance in the saving of Yosef. He saved Yosef. So we see that there's a connection between the Ruvain's finding the Dudaim, or Ruvain's involvement with the Dudaim, to his saving later Yosef from the brothers. That in itself needs to be understood. What's the kesher between the Maisa Hadudoim and the Hatzolah of Yosef? We also see that all this is connected to the Ve'al Psochenu Kol Megodim. This is connected to the Neres Chanukah Shemadlikim Al Psochim, which Avada we don't understand. You know, in Neres Chanukah we find Mahadrin, Mina Mahadrin. We don't find it in any other mitzvah. We have a concept of Hidur mitzvah, but Mahadrin and Mahadrin, Mina Mahadrin. And also, this Hidur of Neres Chanukah is not like the Hidur of other mitzvahs, which is to beautify the esrog, let's say, but not to take two esrog. Over here, the Hidur is by adding another ner and another ner. So why is this mitzvah of Chanukah in particular have this inyan of Hidur to the highest level and extent? You know, there's a pasuk in Daniel that says, "V'omad al kanoi ma'avir noiges." There will arise in his place the one that will remove the noiges, the oppressor. Yeah, ubiyomim achodim yishover. Yet, in a few years, he'll be broken. And then it says, he'll be broken not through a milchama. Anyway, so this is a reference to the Bnei Chashmonoim, as it says in the Targum, as Rashi says, v'yischazek al besisoy. Oh, so I didn't say over the pasuk correctly. V'amad al kanoi ma'avir noiges heder malchus. The glory, the beauty of Malchus. Rashi says, "V'yischazek al besisoy bahara moidoim matisyo ben yoichanon hamavir noiges yavon Me'al Yisrael. He's the one that will remove Yavan, the oppressor, Me'al Yisrael. V'hu heder Malchus Yisrael. He's the beauty of Malchus Yisrael. Kisar v'gibor yiyeh hu v'chol zarei acharov b'nei Hashmonaim. So we find in the Iker Nes of Chanukah the inyan of Hidur, heder Malchus. Therefore, it's no wonder that this plays out also in the Neiris that were Niskan as a Matbeya Hoidah, that is Mahadrin and Mahadrin Mina Mahadrin. But we still have no clue why is the Malchus of the Hashmonaim in particular referred to as Heder Malchus, the beauty of Malchus, the glory of Malchus, and why is it that the Milchama against Yavan was given to the Malchus Hashmonaim? You know, in the beginning of Parshas Vayishlach, it says Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim lefonav al Esav achiv, and then he says to Esav, Vayehi li shor v'chamor. So the Medrash says shor ze Yosef. Shenemar b'chor shoyroi hodar loy in Parshas V'zos HaBrocha. So Yosef is referred to as a shor. Chamor ze Yisachar. The Ksiv says in Parshas Vayechi, Yisachar chamor gorem. So since he's sending this message to Esav, that Vayehi li shor v'chamor, I have a Yosef and a Yisachar, this seems to imply that Yosef and Yisachar have a special koyach, have a special power in defeating Esav. So that Avada needs to be explained. You know that these two Shvatim, Yosef and Yisachar, came about through the Dudoim. Yisachar was born to Leah through the Sochar Sicharticha B'Dudoei B'ni. So she got Yaakov because of the Dudoim, and through that she gave birth to Yisachar. Yosef was born to Rachel, but it also has to do with the Dudoim, based on what the Ramban says, that Hadudoim oimrim olav sheyoyil lihiroyoy. That why did Rachel want those Dudoim? Because it helps for pregnancy. The Ramban says that it's besgula, not beteva, but so it comes out that Rachel gave birth to Yosef as a consequence of her buying the Dudoim. Now, so both these Shvatim, Yisachar and Yosef, came about through the Dudoim. You know, the pasuk says in Parshas Bamidbar, Ish al digloi ba'oisos lebeis avoisam yachanu b'nei Yisrael. So the Midrash says, I mean, so it really means that the pasuk is saying that each one, each man, by his banner al digloi ba'oisos lebeis avoisam, according to the insignias of their fathers, yachnu b'nei Yisrael. Zok the Heilige Medrash ba'oisos simonim hoyu l'chol nasi v'nasi. Every nasi had his simon. Mappa, he had a piece of cloth. V'tzeva al kol mappa o mappa. Everyone had his color on that cloth. V'tzeva shel avonim toivois shehoyu al liboy shel aharoi. It was the color of his stone in the choshen. Mehem lomda hamalchus. Liois oisim mappa v'tzeva l'chol mappa o mappa. The Medrash says that the flags that the Malchiyos make, they learned it from us. It was from the Shvatim in the Midbar. Kol shevet v'shevet, nosi shaloi, tzeva mappa shaloi, doimel tzeva shel Avnoi. Ruvain, Avnoi oidem. Umappa shaloi tzavua odoim. Just like Avnoi oidem, so his mappa was tzavua odoim. Umetsuyor olav dudoim. The insignia was dudoim. So it's interesting. Mela, the stone in the choshen was oidim, so the color of the mappa was red. But the dudoim, I mean, that's one story that once happened And what was the whole role that Reuven played? I mean, he happened to go out in the field and he found Dudoim. True that maybe great things happened through those Dudoim, as we just saw, that Yisachar was born through those Dudoim, Yosef was born through those Dudoim, but I mean, Reuven's role seems to be an insignificant role. I mean, how does this become something that defines Reuven, that the Dudoim are on his flag? You know, on the pasuk that Leah says to Yaakov, "Vatomer Elai Tavoy." So Reb Levi says in the Medrash, "Boyorei ma yofa hoiser sarseruson shel Dudoim." How beautiful was the business of the Dudoim? L'fnei misham avahoya olam. In the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shal yidei hadudoim omdu shnei shvatim gedolim b'Yisrael. Yisachar uzvulun. So here we have a different thing. We were talking that Yisachar and Yosef have to do with the Dudoim. The Medrash says, Shnei Shvatim Gedolim came al Yidei the Dudoim, Yisachar and Zvulun. Yisachar Yosef Oisik B'Torah, Zvulun Yoitze B'Yamim, Ubav and Oisin L'Teich Piv Shel Yisachar, V'Torah Rabba B'Yisrael, V'Hadudoim Nosnu Reach. So, how does Zvulun have to do with the Dudoim? Mistama the Pshat is because Leah reached the point of Atamoid Miledes. Then through the Dudoim, she got Yaakov and Yisachar was born. Vaistois, that Zvulun, who was born later, that's also because of the breakthrough of Leidas Yisachar that came through the Dudoim. And therefore, we're attributing Zvulun also to the Dudoim. But over here in the Medrash, I mean, we're not attributing the Maisa to Reuven. We're saying that Leah, that she did a good business, Kama Yofas Asirusin Shal Dudoim, that Yisachar and Zvulun came about through the Dudoim. But we still don't know what's the chashivas of the Dudoim and what's the meaning of the Dudoim. Legabe Reuven, that Reuven should be defined by the Dudoim. He just found those Dudoim. You know, on the pasuk Vatikra Shmoi Reuven, it says in Rashi brings that the name Reuven is Reu Ben. See my son. Why see my son? Reu ma bein beni leben chami. See the difference between my son and the son of my father-in-law, meaning Esav. So why is there an emphasis over here on the difference between Leah's son and Esav? Probably this has to do with the fact that Chazal say that everybody used to say that Shnei Banim LeRivka, Ushtei Banos LeLavan, Hagdoila LeGadol, Vaktana LeKotan. And therefore Leah was expecting to have to marry Esav. And we see in Chazal that it really was meant to be so, if not for the tefillas that she was mispalel to not marry Esav and marry Yaakov. So when she had her first son, she emphasized the difference between the son that she had, between him and Esav, because look, now I was zeicher to have a son like this. Just imagine if I would be married to Esav. Okay, now Reuven, Avnoi oidem umape sheloi tzavua odoim. Why is that? Probably because the odoim ha'odoim hazeh is the siman of the vayetze harishon admoni. That's Esav, and it's so. This is really underlining the difference between Reuven and Esav. The bein beni leben chami, that he's red and he's red, but it's not the same red. Umetzuyer olav dudoim. Why metzuyer olav dudoim? Because this really expresses the difference between the bni and the ben chami. Because as the pasuk says, vayelech Reuven b'yemei ktsir chitim vayimtza dudoim basod. So Rashi says, lahagid shivchon shel shvachim. Shas hakotzir hoya, v'loy poshat yodei begezel, lahavi chitim u'sa'arim. There were a lot of chitim u'sa'arim available, but loy poshat yodei begezel, lahavi chitim u'sa'arim, elo dvar hefke she'eino the makpid boy. You know, Yaakov Avinu asked Esav, v'tzudo litzayid. Rashi says, mina hefker, v'loy mina gezel. But by Esav, it said, vayelech Esav asode lotzu tzayid lahavi. Zokt Rashi, mahu lahavi, im lo yimtza tzayid yovoi min ha-gezel. So Esav didn't care about gezel, right? He vayelech Esav asode lotzu tzayid lahavi min ha-gezel also. Whereas Ruvain, who takes just dudoim and not chitim usa'arim, because he's nizar in gezel, so he's the opposite of Esav. So we say that mapa shelo is odom, like Esav's, like Esav's odom ha'odom hazeh, but mitzuyer all of dudoim. So it's bein beni leben chomi. So now we'll understand that it's not for naught that it was through the dudoim that the Leda of Yisachar and Zvulun Dafke came about. Hadudoim nosnu reach, as the Medrash says, means the birth of Yisachar and Zvulun. Because we know that Yitzchak wanted to give the brachas to Esav. Why? So it says in Fashidin Svarim, even Kadmoinen, that's because Mi'ikara de Milsa, L'chatchila, the Yaakov's mission was to be an ish tam yoshev oy holim. He should be totally separated from olam haza. He should be only in the spiritual sphere. Just miladishmai. Esav was meant to be the ish yoidei atzayid ish sodeh. He was meant to work out in the field, and in the noifen of l'shem shamayim versteht sich. And that he should help and support Yaakov Avinu, who's the Ish Tam Yoshev Aholim. And together, the Kvot Shamayim should come about. It says, Vayavoid Yaakov Berachel Sheva Shonim, etc. Vayihi Ba'erev, Vayikach Esleo Bitoy, Vayove Oisa Elov, Vayihi Ba'boike V'hine Hileya. So the Medrash says, V'chol Ahu Lelia, Yaakov Avinu that whole night have it tzavach lo Rachel. He called her Rachel v'hi anyale, and she answered. She responded to the name Rachel, in spite of the fact that she was Leah. And Omar lo in the morning when he saw v'hine he Leah, Omar lo Ram Yosa bas Ramo, you're a swindler, the daughter of a swindler. Lav belel Yahava Karina Rachel v'at anisli. Wasn't I calling you Rachel at night and you were responding? So she said to him, Loi kach havet tzavach lo chavuch Esav aton islay. Didn't your father call you Esav when you came with the food, and you responded as if you're Esav? So I'm doing the same thing as you. Nu versteht sich that this is not just some kind of a conversation. There must be depth to it, and it is. Because in as much as Yaakov Avinu answers to the name Esav, what's the pshat that he answers to the name Esav when his father asks him, who are you? Because being that Esav messed up, so Yaakov Avinu now has to have both roles. He has to have also the role of Esav and also the role of Yaakov. He has to have also the Ish Sodeh, the Ish Yodeah, Ish Yodeah Tzayid, Ish Sodeh, together with the Ish Tam Yoshev Aholim, because Esav messed up. And Memela, he has to get the brachas. That's why Rivka sends him to get the brachas, because Esav no longer deserves those brachas of the Yitna L'chol Kimi Tal Shamayim Mushmanei Oretz, because he's not going to do it l'shem shamayim, and he's not going to help Yaakov, and therefore Yaakov has to wear both hats. And she's saying to him, in as much as you're wearing both hats, you need to marry me also, because the pshat is that enochanami, that Leah was meant to marry Esav, but you're not. But Esav is not Esav anymore. Now you're Esav. In other words, now that you're also Yaakov and also Esav, you need to marry also Leah and also Rachel. And Memela, just like you responded to the name Esav, I responded to the name Rachel. So Memela is Azoy. It says afterwards, Vayova Yaakov min Asodeh bo'erev, in the context of this Maisa with the Dudoim, Vayova Yaakov min Asodeh bo'erev, Vateitze Leah likrosoi, Vatoime Elai Tovoi ki socher sicharticha b'Dudoi b'ni. So all of a sudden, Yaakov is coming min Hasodeh. What is Yaakov doing in the Sodeh? Yaakov is the Ishtam, Yoshev Olim. But no, Yaakov at a certain point, he took over the role of Esav also, and Vayova Yaakov min Asodeh, he combines both avodas, and the Dudoi HaHefker of Re'u Ben, they really verify the Leah's ability to build the base Yisrael in which both these avodas will be combined. And Taka mitoich the Dudoin, which show the Ma Bein Beni LeBen Chami, that we have the Esav in its pure form, not in the messed up form that Esav made out of it, but we have the Esav in the way it really ought to be. So we have the Esav in the Yaakov, so she gives birth to Yisachar and Zvulun, because Yisachar and Zvulun are the same Shutfim as Esav and Yaakov were meant to be. Now we have both, and therefore we have Yisachar and Zvulun, and they come about through the Dudon. Now, Rachel originally was meant to be for Yaakov. She's the Ketana Lakotan. She was supposed to be the Eza Kenegdoi for the Ishtam Yoshev Aholim. But through the eating of the Dudoim of Hefker, of Ruvain, not Gezel, she becomes attached also to the Avodah of Ish Sodeh, and she gives birth to Yosef. Yosef himself combines both Avodas of Yoshev Aholim and Ish Sodeh. Because on one hand, he's Ben Zekunim Huloi, as the Targum says, Bar Chakim Hulei, everything that he learned from Shem, he taught Yosef, as Rashi says. He's Nazir Echov, like a Nazir. But on the other hand, V'nosoin Oisoy Al Kol Eretz Mitzrayim, he's the Shalit. He's the Mashbir l'chol ha'aretz. He's the Bechor Shoyroi Hodoloi. You know, a Shoyer is l'ridyokoi. A Shoyer plows the field. So Yosef is on one hand, he's the Bar Chakim. On the other hand, he plows the fields. He's a Ish Sada. So Vayihili Shor v'chamor, Yaakov Avinu says, Yosef and Yisachar, as the Medrash says. Because we have the right balance. He's saying to Esav, you lost it. I gave birth to Yosef and Yisachar. Yisachar is the Yosef Aholim, Yosef is the Bechor Shoyroi. We have both avodas. Now, we see, V'hu nar es b'nei Bilov es b'nei Zilpa, shehoya oise maise narus, Yosef did, mesalsel b'saro, umamashmish be'enov, k'dei sheyeh nira yofe, he paid attention to his looks. Avada, such an hugger is not shaykh to a ish tam Yoshev Aholim. And that's why the brothers, they moved away from him. Yeah, they vayisnachlu oisel amisay. But Reuven, the Baal Dudoi Hasodeh, he is aware of the fact that now the Ish Soda Avodah is also in the hands of the Zera Yaakov. And Yosef's tafkid is Eidos b'Yosef Samay b'Tzeisel Eretz Mitzrayim, is to sanctify the name of the Rebbeinu Shalom in the outside world, and therefore he does need to pay attention also to the Chitzonius Sheyeh Nireh Yofe, and therefore Vayishma Reuven Vayatzileu Miyodam. That Reuven, Ben Benila Ben Chami, he's the one that saves Yosef. So that's Hadudoim Nosnu Reach Ze Reuven Shehitzelas Yosef, because there's a straight line from the Maisa Hadudoim to the Hatzolah of Yosef, because in the Maisa Hadudoim is the Yesoid of Klal Yisrael wearing both hats, and that's why, and his awareness of that is what caused him to save Yosef. He understood that Yosef shouldn't be judged negatively because he's a Mesalsul Besaroi and Kadeshi Enire Yofe, because he's not only an Azirechov, he's also the Shalit Vu Amash B'Lechol Amoretz, he's the Bechor Shoroi Hodoloi. Now, the Pasuk says, Vayivoser Yaakov Levadoi, Vayeovek Ish Imoi, Ad Alois HaShachar. Rashi brings Vayivoser Yaakov Levadoi, Shochach Pachim Ktanim V'Chozalei. He forgot some small glasses or whatever, and he went back for it. Mikan, the Gemara says in Chulin, Mikan, Shetzadikim, Memoinam Choviv Aleim Yosem Igufam. He put himself in Sakone in order to retrieve those Pachim Ktanim, which is just Memoinam. But Kol Kach Loma, Lefisha Ein Poishtim Yedeim Begezel. Since they're not Poishtim Yedeim Begezel, they have a relationship with their money. What does that mean? The Amida B'Nisoyin of Gezel is not just to negate the negative, but it really gives chashivas and chavivas to the Mamonim Shel Tzadikim. I mean, honestly earned money is an avodah. So when he goes back for the Pachim Ktanim, Vayeovek Ish Imoy, the Sorei Shel Esav, he is money is not for you. I mean, you go back, your mom and his chaviv, you're the ish tam yoishav v'holim. The money is shaykh to the ish sada. And therefore, the Vayavik ish imoy comes when he goes back for those pachim ktanim, which shows that tzadikim amoinim chaviv aleim yoisam igufam. However, Vayava Yaakov sholem state nagdem. Rashi says sholem begufay, sholem b'mamoinoi, sholem b'teirasai. So the shlemus of Yaakov, bemis, was all-encompassing. It was a sholem b'teirasai, and it was a sholem b'mamoinoi. Yeah, the Gemara says in Shabbos Daf Lamed Gimel, Vayichan es pnei ha'ir. Yaakov was Vayichan es pnei ha'ir. Rav Omar Madbeya tiken lahem. Ushmul Omar Shvokim tiken lahem. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Mechetzois tiken lahem. So Yaakov Avinu was involved in all these activities. Okay, now the Megala Amukoi says that the Golus Yavon was an oynish for Mechiras Yosef. He says that it's alluded to in the fact that the words Melech Yavon are Begematria Yosef. And also the word Antiochus is Begematria Yosef. So what's the connection? You know, they said, Hoyu Oimrim Kisvu Lachem Al Keren Ashor, She'en Lachem Chelik Belekei Yisrael. What does that mean? The shor is laridyokoi. The shor is for plowing the fields. The statement that they wanted Yidden to make is that shor has nothing to do with Elokei Yisrael. I mean, the shaykhis to Elokei Yisrael is in the Beis HaKnesses, is in the Beis HaMedrash, but in the Sodeh, there's no ruchnius, right? Kisvu lachem al keren ashor she'ein lachem chelik b'Elokei Yisrael. And we take a fine. The Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah Daf Yud Ches that Kishegavra Malchus Beis Chashmoinoi v'Nitzchum Hiskiru Shiu Koisvim Shem Shamayim B'Shtorois. Why? Because this was the time to emphasize that no, the Rebbeinu Shalom is B'chol Drachech Hodei V'chol Masech Al Shem Shamayim. He also in the Keren Asher and also in the Shtorois in financial transactions. We mentioned the Rebbeinu Shalom. So Kisvu Lachem Al Keren Ashor was really the kfira in the avodah of Bechor Shoyroi Hodor Loi. And this gzeira is nimshach from the Mechira of Yosef, which was rooted in the Pikbook in Yosef's Madrege, who was really meant to be the Shalat Mashbe B'chol Eretz Mitzrayim. He's the Sitnoi Shel Esav. He's the Lahova that Sholat L'Meirochoi. But they didn't recognize that, so they sold Yosef. And that's the shorish of the Gzeres Yavon that once again tells us Kisvu lachem al keren ashor she'ein lachem chelik b'Elokei Yisrael. Now hadudoim nosnu reach ze Ruven shehitzel es Yosef al psochenu kol megodim elu neiros Chanuka shemadlichim al apsoch. So Ruven, the Bala Dudoim, Vayimtza Dudoim Basada, he's the one that saved Yosef, the Bechor Shoroi, the Shor L'Ridyakoi. And this Hatzalah is the foundation of the Yeshua from Yavan that says, Kisvu lachem al keren ashor she'elachem chelik b'lekei Yisrael. And that's why we light the neres al apsachim, al pesach beisoy mibachutz, like Yosef, that's a lahova, that's shoylet l'meirochoik, because the point is that we're Yidden not only on the inside, but also on the outside. That's the Ish Soda together with the Yosef Aholim. That's the Madrega of Yosef, who's a Nazir Echov, and he's a Bechor Shorei. So there's a medrash that says, Om HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yaakov, Ato nosato nafshecha al pachim ktanim b'shvili. You were moise nefesh on those pachim ktanim for me. Chayecha shani yashalem l'bonecha b'pach koten b'yimei chashminoim. So first of all, we see that Yaakov Avinu's Mesiras Nefesh for those pachim ktanim is considered a Mesiras Nefesh b'shvili for the Rebbeinu Shalom, because the avoid of tzaddikim shemamonim chavav aleim yosim megufam she'ein poishtim yodam begezel, they turn the cheftzei ha'olam into a cheftzei shel mitzvah. And this avodah was oimid for Klal Yisrael to overcome the gzeira of Kisvu lachem al keren ashor, and it brought about the ksiva of Shem Shomayim b'shtorois. All comes from the Masarta nafshecha b'shvili in retrieving those pachim ktanim. Now, it says, Utvoyach tevach v'hochein. So, the Gemara says in Chulun Daf Tzadik Aleph that he told the Bnei Habayis that they should, Yosef told his servants that they should tul gid hanoshe bifneim. Show them that you're removing the gid hanoshe. So they should know that it's kosher, they should be able to eat. So what's the idea of tul gid hanoshe bifneim in this context? It's to remind them about the machloikis between the Sorei Shel Esav and Yaakov Avinu over the Pachim Ktanim. I mean, when did this happen, the Gid Hanoshe? When Yaakov Avinu went back to get those Pachim Ktanim, right? So the Gid Hanoshe is a reminder of that battle between Yaakov Avinu and the Sorei Shel Esav, which came about through Yaakov Avinu's Masarta Nafshecha Bishvili to retrieve the Pachim Ktanim. Then they'll understand when the Shvatim will see the Gid Hanoshe being removed by Yosef's servants, they'll understand the side of Tzadikim Memoinam Chaviv Aleim Yosef Migufam, and they'll understand the Madrega of Yosef, who is not only in the inside, but also on the outside. They'll understand the Madrega of Yosef, who hashalit, who hamashbir b'chol eretz Mitzrayim. Yosef, who's the b'chor shoyroi hodarloi, who's also an ish sadeh. They didn't understand that. That's why they sold him. Yosef wants to show them now, tul gid hanoshe b'fneim. Show them that gid hanoshe has to be removed, because that's a reminder of the machlokes of the Sorei Shel Esav with Yaakov Avinu, which was actually about this sugya of Pachim Ktanim, which is the sugya of Tzadikim Memoinam Chaviv Aleim Yosef Migufam, which was what the Shvatim and Yosef were actually arguing about, because they criticized him for the Mesalsel Besaroi Kadeshi Yehei Nire Yofet. So the Sudas of Chanukah are Sudas Rishus. Because, why are they Sudas Rishus? Because the Avodah of these days is to be Mesaken and to be Ma'ale Divrei HaRishus. It's not mitzvahs. It's about the reshus. B'chol drochecha da'ayu. It's v'chol ma'asech l'shem shemayim. It's the avodah of sodeh. It's the avodah of chutz. That's why the sudas are not a mitzvah. They're not designated mitzvahs, but they're a reshus. But it's sudas shemarbim bohem heim sudas a reshus. Yidna marbe sudas on Chanukah, in spite of the fact that it's not a mitzvah, because the avodah of Chanukah is to do the reshus l'shem shamayim. And that's why these sudas are alluded to in the pasuk of Utvayach Tevach V'Hochein, that Chazal interpreted to mean Tul Gid Hanoshe B'Fneim, which is a reminder of the battle between Yaakov Avinu and Soroi Shel Esav, which came about through the Pachim Ktanim, because Tzadikim Memoinam Chaviv Aleim Yosef Migufam, because they could turn Memoinam into a Cheftzah Shel Mitzvah from the world of Rishus. So the Yevanim were bitlu dasam, as the Rambam says, upashtu yodam b'mamoinam ubivnei. Because the mamoinam shel tzadikim, which is chaviv, is part of the dasam that the Yevanim are coming to be mavatel. Kisvu lachem al keren ashur. They want that the world of Rishus should be outside, should remain outside the spiritual realm. And that's also why the pasuk of Tevach v'Hochein, from which we learn Tul Gidan Asheveineihem. So we have over here alluded to the 44 Neiros Chanukah, which includes also the Shamoshim, because it's just like all the Divrei Harishus, which are not a mitzvah, but in the context of a mitzvah, they can be purified and they can be brought to a spiritual level. So the Shamoshim are also part of this message. Now Yosef is Bigmatria Melech Yavan, as the Migal Amukah says. Zelo Mazeh, he prepares the Sudas Rishus for his brothers, because that's his function, that's his role. He's the Bechor Shoyroi Hodarloi, to be Male, the Divrei Harishus, to be Mekadesh Shem Shemayim Boilam, B'tzeisei Eretz Mitzrayim. Now, you know, Bechor Shoyroi, the pasuk says Hodarloi. Why is he defined as Hadar? Why is Yosef defined as Hadar? Bechor Shoyroi Hadarloi. You know, the pasuk says, "Lokachtem lochem b'yom harishon pre-eitz Hadar." So the Gemara says Hadar. How do we know that pre-eitz Hadar is an esrik? The Gemara says in Sukkah, Hadar be'ilana mishana l'shana. It lives on the tree from one year to another. So what's really sounds like a very far out Russian. The Baal HaTanya says that living on the tree through all the seasons and growing from all the shinuyim, that's what creates hadar. Beauty is the combination of various colors and stripes, right? And the pre-eitz hadar, what's its beauty? It comes from being a dar be'ilonai mishana l'shana. It's like the Ramak really writes the Ramak writes in the Or Ne'erav. He writes B'zeh Loshen about the Sphira of Tiferes. He says tzorich oid sheyeda ki mepu'ulos hatiferes hape'er v'ahodar u'shmo yoed al zeh. That Tiferes means beauty. V'atam. Because he says, Hahodar v'hayofi hu murkav mehaloiven v'ha'oidam ka'amoroi doidi tzach v'odom v'chein kol ha'inyonim sheyurkivu meha'oidam v'haloiven v'ha'esh v'hamayim v'chamimus v'halechus v'adin v'achesed hein besoid midazu. So being that the sphere of Tiferes brings together chesed and gvura, that's why it's beautiful. Because beauty is not one-dimensional. It's dafka when you have a variety of colors, that's what makes beauty. That's what the Ramak is saying. And Mamela Yosef, who's on one hand in a Zirechov, on the other hand he's a Bechor Shoyroi, he's Hadar Loi. He is Hadar. So, you know, it says, Yaft Elokim Liyefes, V'yishkoin Ba'al Eishem. Chazal say that the Yefyusoi Shel Yefes should be in the Olei Shem. Only when the Yofi of Yefes comes together with the Olei Shem, it takes on meaning. Just like the Chochmah of Yovan, which is a Chochmah Chitzonis. And therefore, Mitzad Atzma and B'fnei Atzma, the Shechina is not Shore, but V'yishkoin Ba'olei Shem. So the Hodor is Be'emes Yosef, who brings it all together. And that's why Yosef is the Yesod of the Yeshua from Yovan. So this all explains. You know, we know that Neiros Chanukah alit achetichle regel min hashuk. Again, the regel could be stuck in the shuk, and without an awareness of the spiritual dimension of the inyonei hashuk. When we were menatzech over the Yevanim, we started to write Shem Shemayim b'shtoros, and therefore the Hadlok of Neiros Chanukah brings about the Tichle Regel Min Hashuk. And this all explains the Minig Yisrael to distributes Chanukah Gelt. That's the b'china of kisvu lachem al keren asher sheyesh lachem chelik b'elokei Yisrael. In other words, using physical, material things in the right context. L'shem shamayim tzadikim chovev aleim emoinam yoysim eguvam she'ein poishtim yodam begezel. So since we were menaseach over the pashtu yodam b'memoinam ubivnoiseyem, it's celebrated with Chanukah Gelt. Yot Rabbi Sai, having said all that, so ich wünsche euch alle a freilichen Chanukah.